Hi everybody, in this video I'm going to take it a bit further from what we did in our last video by coding the full recipe from our final project. Now if you remember, we have a title, we have an image. The image is actually the product ID. Notice it's 1.jpg here, and this will be 2.jpg. And when we control the ability to upload this stuff, we'll take care of that then. But right now we're just coding the presentation layer. So you'll see that I have a read more link here, and this would grab the value of recipe ID. So let's code this guy. And so that means I'm going to my folder structure. I'm going to click on recipe.php, and the very first thing we need to do, and again I have no HTML in there, is grab the value of recipe ID. So I'll grab that because we want to know exactly what recipe we're going to show. And recipe ID there. So at this point we would have recipe ID. Now what I'd like to do is I can do a couple things. I can write a condition that tells me if, only write the presentation code if recipe ID has a value. But what I would rather do is say, well, if recipe ID is empty recipe ID, or let's say it's not numeric. No is numeric recipe ID. Then I can just weed them out so that they don't see my presentation layer without data. So this will be at the top, and this will be header locations. There's so many ways to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and do this and send them back to the index.php. So again, this is if there is no recipe ID, which is right here, or if the recipe ID happens to be in there. It helps if I spell these variables right. If it happens to be there but is non-numeric, then remember the exclamation point is a not. That we would relocate them. But now if they get past this, then we know that we're in good shape. So let's go ahead and get everything about that recipe. Okay. So back to our section here, we can literally go into, see, there's our recipe itself, go into our home page and actually pull that data. So we want to pull out recipes and get this section right here. So I'm going to go into my home page, which is this, and I'm going to basically, I can actually copy this if I want and throw it right in here. But in this case, we are going to need a where statement. Where ID equals, and this is where we will definitely need parametric binding because it is a variable that comes from the outside. So I'm going to take care of that first, and I'm going to bind the value, and it's going to be the first value, and it's going to be recipe ID, and I want to make sure that it's an int. So I'm going to do PDO param underscore int, like that, and so that would bind the value to that, which is fine. Now we've got this. We don't need to shorten anything because we're actually showing the actual, we don't need to read more. We just need the recipe itself. So in this case, the recipe is this. I don't need the break tags. I don't need the unset. But we are going to need something else here. And I'll get to that in just a second once we look at the presentation layer. So this is my presentation layer. Remember, this is the home page. This is my presentation layer. Now the image should be a heck of a lot bigger because it's the total package, so I'm going to go ahead and add 400. What we'll probably do is just use PHP to thumbnail the script. So now I have strawberry shortcake, and on the home page it was an H3. Now we're going to go H1. So there's H1 right there, and we'll style this to our heart's content later on. But this is the actual. So there's strawberry shortcake. This right here will be the lemon fiesta cake. And nothing's designed, of course, but we need a couple more things. What about our comments? Well, that's a big deal. So let's talk about it. What we need to do is call the comments table based on the ID now. So I'm going to go to my comments table here, And my recipe ID is 1 on the first one and 2 on the second one. So down below this section, inside here, I can do an inner query. Inner SQL will equal dbh prepare. And this can be something like select. And again, we're going to look at our comments table. I'll minimize my home page and select. Remember, the theme behind this course is when you're writing a query, get what you want from where it is, how you want it. So what I'm definitely going to need is I'm going to need to call two tables because my recipe users is right here. So we're going to need recipe users, rec users dot username. So rec underscore users dot username. We need that. We're going to need that person's comment. Now, we didn't have a date stamp on that comment, but you may want that for your project, and I may add it later. We'll see. See how far we get. It is getting close to the end of the semester, so we'll need the user and we'll need the comment itself. So we'll do rec comments, and you remember you get what you want, and it's actually dot comment. So we're going to get what we want. We got the two things we need, the username and the comment. And from the two tables, from rec underscore users and rec underscore comments, and how we want it, where the rec underscore comments dot user ID equals rec underscore users. And I'll go back to that table real quick. And again, usually I print the data right on my desk, where the users.id. And also, we don't need a second where statement. We need another criteria where the recipe, rec underscore comments dot recipe ID is equal to our recipe ID that we got from the URL window. So let's take a good look at this. If I go to my comments here, we'll do, it's recipe ID there. So this is great. Now, keep in mind that we need to also check for IP addresses. We're going to do that when we take care of the back end, when we focus on how data is going to get into this without going through PHP-MyAdmin. So this is my section here, and now I could always test this query real quick. All I'd have to do is go, let's paste this in here, and our recipe ID, this would be the strawberry shortcake. Let's click go. Oops. Let's see what we got. Oh, look at that. Recipe underscore users. My bad. So right there is we found one error already. And now I have those two comments. So inside my query, I'm going to make sure that I have users right there. So we've got this, and now we can bind a value to it. Bind value, and we'll do 1, recipe ID, and we'll do param int, and then we'll enter SQL execute. So at this point, we should have that statement done, and now we can do our while loop, because we may have multiple comments on this one section. So I'll do inner row. You'll notice I have row up here. I'm going to make sure that I keep them separate. And inner SQL fetch. And now I'll grab my values. We'll have the username equals scalar inner row. And I am a very lazy man, so I'll do 0. And I'll do comment equals inner row 1. And now I'll just echo it out, and we'll do a p tag. And I don't like. I'd rather keep the values sort of free from your HTML and allow you the benefit of designing. But I'm going to go ahead and do that anyway, because we'll need comment we'll need you to get some experience with design and designing around dynamic content. It's another big part of your journey here. And now I can echo, and I'll do another p tag here, but I'll do strong. We'll do a strong tag, and then we'll do username. So there is my table. So what we'll do is we'll do a wave of usability improvements when we get through this. And so now I hit recipe 2 here. You see I have a fatal error right there. So let's troubleshoot that together. If you look, I have, let's make sure I have semicolons everywhere, and I do not. So let's try this again. And there's lemon fiesta cake. And we got to make sure that we have our values here. So we've got param int. And so one thing I should do is make sure that my while loop has a value, because this is recipe ID. It does not look like I have my comments, and there's no comments over here. So what I'm going to do is print R, scalar inner row, because I know that will be an array. And let's just see if we got into that loop. And when I hit this, I see nothing, which is a good thing. So, I'm fine. I just like to know what's happening. So now I'm going to do a print R around my SQL to see if I screwed that up at all. And it's always possible. So let's do inner SQL, and we'll do, error info. And by printing that, we should see if we have any errors. And down here we do. And the HY093 error is an interesting thing. I've had a couple of them recently. And they're usually based on, and I'll show you this, there's a nice Stack Overflow post on it, but that is an error with my section, and it's usually a typo with the bind. So if I do something like, see this, I have bind value. I did not put PDO like that, and I need to. So that's what the HY093 is. Now when I hit this, hopefully I get my values, and I do. So I'm going to go ahead and print R and delete all these things and run in like this. So this right here is my presentation layer for the other page. Now I'm going to add a couple more things. I got my title, got my recipe, I got my select statement. Let's go ahead and echo comments inside the while loop here. So I'm going to echo, and this can be like an H3 comments. So the idea of understanding where you're looping is a big part of this. And I'm going to hit this. There's comments. And another thing I'd like to do is I'd like to order it. Order by rec_comments dot ID descending. That way we always get the latest comment first. So I kind of like that. And you see it change right away. Great, and has no calories. The recipe was delicious, but in no way a replacement for a complete nutritious breakfast. So now I have my recipe, my comments. Let's go ahead and add something else. Let's add, inside here I have 2 break tags. Let's do a button. Input type, actually I could just put a button here like this. I'll do I'm assuming some of you might put bootstrap on this thing, so I'll do an onClick equals window.print, like that. And then in here we'll just do a print. Recipe should have print buttons. So now I hit this and my print function comes up. And I'm just thinking about the user, but again, what we're going to do is next week we'll implement our search that we taught last week, and we will go through a quick wave with UX and make sure everything looks great. Maybe add some photos, something like that. But this is the presentation layer for our interior page, and it's pretty simple. I don't have any HTML in here at all. And it's just functionality. So if you get this far with your projects this week, you'll be doing well. And then the next Sunday, you can have the back end where we insert data. It should be pretty straightforward. And then you'll have your project complete. Any questions, you know where to reach me.